Playoff football begins again this weekend as the NFL's top teams, players, and coaches begin their journey towards that all-elusive Vince Lombardi trophy. This year's postseason seems as wide open as ever, with all 14 remaining teams possessing some game-changing talent on both sides of the ball. In this video, however, we're going to take a look at the quarterback position, the most important position in any team sport. In the modern NFL, having one of the league's elite quarterbacks is critical to your chances of success, and it's no surprise to see those elite talents guiding their sides into the playoff picture yet again. If the Super Bowl was awarded to the team with the best quarterback, who would win it? We'll look at 3 of these guys who have had excellent seasons and whose teams will be relying on them heavily during the next few weeks. Will any of these guys win the big game in Vegas on February 11th? Only time will tell. This is the Pigskin Reports, and here comes the countdown. At 3, Dak Prescott. Since his excellent rookie season in 2016, Dak Prescott hasn't always been the flavor of the month in Dallas. In his first 7 seasons in Texas, the Cowboys have only won 2 playoff games, and America's team haven't played in an NFC Championship game since January 1996. Last season, Dak shouldered much of the blame in the Cowboys' playoff exit, throwing 2 interceptions as the San Francisco 49ers eliminated Dallas for the 2nd straight year. But this season, Dak looks as good as he's ever been, guiding the Cowboys to a 12-5 record and an NFC East crown over their eternal rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. He also led the league in passing touchdowns for the first time in his career with 36, being a key part of the Cowboys becoming the league's #1 scoring offense. In 2022, interceptions were Prescott's downfall, and he led the league in that category despite only playing 12 games. But things are different this year, and while assisted by an excellent receiving group led by the phenomenal CeeDee Lamb, this Dallas side is absolutely a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. Prescott also ranks 2nd in the league in passer rating, with only Brock Purdy and his phenomenal offense ahead of him. Part of this is due to him really cutting down his turnovers, and he now has one of the league's best interception percentages, as he's no longer forcing the ball into tight windows as much as before. He's settled in phenomenally with Mike McCarthy's new-look offense, and the production Dak has been capable of is frightening considering this is the first year he's donned the new playbook. Dallas earned the 2nd seed in the NFC bracket of the playoffs, and a lot of the credit has to go to Dak. How far the Cowboys can go remains to be seen. But the 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State is going to be crucial to any title ambitions for Mike McCarthy's men. If Prescott can play like he's done in recent weeks, this team will be a threat to any opponent, even San Francisco. In 2nd place, Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills may only have punched their ticket to the playoffs in the final week of the season, but they look like one of few teams you really don't want to come across right now. The Bills have hit top gear at just the right time, having won 5 straight games against some of the league's elite sides, culminating in last Sunday night's 21-14 comeback win over Miami, which gave them the AFC East title once again. Buffalo did have some struggles during the early part of the year, especially after suffering major injuries to the likes of Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White, as well as stunning losses to the likes of the Patriots and the New York Jets. However, the most important player on the team, quarterback Josh Allen, is the X factor on this team, capable of leading Sean McDermott's men all the way. Allen racked up over 4,300 yards in the air this season and 29 passing touchdowns, both of which rank him in the top 5 in the league. However, to appreciate Allen's true value to this team, you have to consider his ability on the ground. The Wyoming alumnus picked up a mammoth 15 rushing touchdowns, tied for an NFL record, and these 44 total touchdowns led the league, with Allen being involved in over 80% of all the touchdowns that Buffalo have scored this campaign. While James Cook has become a major part of this offense recently, Allen remains crucial to the running game, especially near the goal line. 11 of his touchdowns have come from 10 yards out or less, as the Bills are happy to rely on one of the faster and stronger QBs in pro football in these situations. Over the course of his career, Allen has faced comparisons to Packers legend and Hall of Famer Brett Favre due to his ability to make game-changing plays using his huge arm, as well as his inconsistent play, to say the least. Allen's issues with turnovers are never fully behind him, as he was 2nd in the league in interceptions this year, only behind Washington's Sam Howell. But quite simply, if Buffalo are to lift their first Super Bowl in franchise history, they're going to have to let number 17 cook. If Allen can find All-Pro Stephon Diggs and the rest of his pass catchers down the field, and if he can continue to be the threat on the ground that he's always been, maybe the Bills Mafia will be on top of the football roll this February for the very first time. In first place, and the favorite for the league MVP, Lamar Jackson. Going into the 2023 playoffs, Vegas has the Baltimore Ravens as the favorites to win it all. Why? Well, they do have arguably the league's best defense, led by the likes of Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith, which has given up just 16.5 points per game. And they're coached by one of the league's very best veterans, John Harbaugh. But really, the Baltimore Ravens are the people's pick to win gold this year due to one man. Former Louisville Cardinal Lamar Jackson. You know, the guy scouts had requested to convert to a wide receiver. That's the one. This time last year, the Ravens were still locked into contract negotiations with the man wearing number 8, as Lamar demanded to be well paid for his services, which saw him win MVP in 2019 in just his second year in the league. The Ravens finally agreed to pay him $260 million over 5 years, which Lamar has set about repaying over the last 17 weeks. Jackson is the league's MVP frontrunner and is the driving force behind everything the Ravens do offensively. He's been excellent through the year, and whilst he hasn't quite thrown with the volume of Prescott or Allen, he's still finished the year with one of the best TD to int ratios in the league. Early in his career, some said that Lamar was merely a running back, but surely no one's saying that anymore. He's one of the league's very best passers in both long and short yardage situations. Even losing one of his favorite targets in Mark Andrews to injury has barely affected him, as he shared the ball fairly evenly amongst the likes of Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, and Odell Beckham Jr. The insertion of former Georgia Bulldogs offensive coordinator Todd Monken has really opened up the Ravens' offense, allowing Lamar to throw more freely with his receivers and tight ends better spread out. And of course, Lamar possesses that game-changing rushing ability. He's the leading rusher on the Ravens with 821 yards, which comfortably makes him the top rushing QB in the NFL once more. Even the very best teams in football struggle to deal with a dual threat like Jackson, who's well on course to taking the all-time lead for rushing yards by a QB, still held by Michael Vick. Maybe most importantly of all, Lamar and his Ravens are getting hot at just the right time. Discounting Week 18's loss to Pittsburgh, in which Lamar and many of the starters were rested, Harbaugh's men have won 6 straight, with the last 2 arguably the most impressive of the lot. Firstly, they knocked off the NFC's best side in San Francisco 33-19 on Christmas Day, with Jackson accounting for nearly 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Then Lamar had a perfect passer rating in a 56-19 demolition of the Miami Dolphins in Week 17, looking electrifying over the course of that afternoon, and earning that Week 18 feet-up-on-the-couch afternoon as the conference's top seed. So, whilst the Ravens are a stacked team across the board, the biggest driver behind their current status as Super Bowl favorites is the guy behind center. And if he plays like we all know he can, that Lombardi Trophy could be heading to Maryland for the first time in 11 years. Is Lamar your pick for MVP? Which of these quarterbacks do you think will go the furthest in this year's playoffs? And are any of these teams your Super Bowl favorite? Let us know in the comments below.